what decisions I'm making. I've been kind of a crazier player as far as scrambling and making throws, but in my career, I've never been someone to throw a lot of interceptions. And so I kind of have to look at it now and go back and reevaluate what I'm doing and I have to cut it out.
Good news, he's a smart kid. He's wildly coachable. But we've got to stop being terrified to be honest about Kansas City. The team that's the most fun to watch isn't necessarily the best team, and Buffalo, top to bottom, has way more good players right now than Kansas City. I mean, Buffalo has literally had 9 defensive linemen play significant snaps. Didn't need to blitz at any point in the game. Did pretty much whatever they wanted to offensively. And that's on the road. That's on the road where you're not as good. That game's in Buffalo, gets worse. Let me start with this. As a parent, parents will tell you how much they trust their kids by the responsibility they give their kids. Which kid do you give money to if you're going out with the other kids? Which kid do you give the keys to the car? You and your wife are leaving for the weekend. Which kid do you trust to make sure everything is right? Parents will tell you what they think about a kid's trustability and judgment based on the responsibility a parent gives the child and their family. Brandon Staley coaches Justin Herbert. They not only go for it on 4th and 1, they go for it on 4th and 7. They go for it on 4th and 4 deep in their own territory. The Chargers have he's only got 20 NFL starts, and the Chargers implicitly trust Justin Herbert with the keys to the family Mercedes at any point. That is a great player. 4th and 7, no issues. Go for it. On the road, at home, they don't care. Baker Mayfield with 50 NFL starts, the number 1 rated O-line, the number 1 rated run game, and the head coach of the year, 50 starts, would not go for it on 3rd down when their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. On 3rd and 10, they ran into the line. Their defense couldn't stop the Chargers. They were deep in their own territory. They were going to give the ball back at the 50. Herbert was on fire. Weapons. It would now be 4-down territory. What did that tell you about the trust and the judgment of the Cleveland coaches on Baker Mayfield? I mean, it was a jaw-dropping wow moment. Forget the fact that you don't trust him now. The coaches don't trust him. And then it can only be classified as gross negligence when Baker did get it back. And I've always said, everybody plays great with a lead. Everybody plays great when nobody knows if they have to throw. But when everybody in the stadium knows you have to throw, like, that final Herbert drive. Did you see what Baker did? It was embarrassing. 21 yards in 1:26. Aaron Rodgers needs 2 plays to move 60 yards. Brady, if you give him 1:30, has time to spare, has to throw the ball out of bounds to waste time. He did it too quickly. Baker checked down 3 straight times with no timeouts left. Okay, Baker in crisis. Again, everybody plays when the running game is good and you play with a lead and there's no pressure. You get the bag, you get $300 million when you play from behind and you have to throw. And everybody knows you have to throw. That was bad. Herbert has had 20 starts, 6 game-winning drives. And this is a kid that entered. The staff's already been fired. He entered with the worst statistical offensive line in the league. He's on his second coach in his second year in a really, really, what we perceive as a really good division. And the entire staff is just like, go for it. 4th and 7, 4th and 4. Doesn't even matter where they're at. Parents tell you what kid they trust. Coaches tell you how much trust they have. That's a head scratcher. And Kevin Stefanski, a very good coach, wonderful scheme coach, is too smart to say, I couldn't see the clock. Guy, you don't trust your quarterback. Ain't getting the bag if you don't trust your quarterback. If the Chargers were forced to pay Herbert today, the Brinks trucks would pull up behind the stadium. They made their decision. Cincinnati's made their decision on their quarterback. Josh Allen's already been paid. Mahomes got paid early. Now, there was a bad call down the stretch against Cleveland. Nobody would deny that, and Baker wanted to point it out after.
I mean, late in the game, might as well just forward the fine letter. We asked the ref on the sideline how the hell he missed that call. I mean, they're shoving Donovan Peoples-Jones out of bounds, and then Higgy gets grabbed. So there's 2 PIs on one play. They don't call it. I mean, but we shouldn't have even been in that position. Like I said, we left too many points in the field first half. But it's very frustrating when, we didn't do our job enough to, to just take the ball game away.
He's not wrong, and I lost a bet because of that call. And I'll give him a pass on calling out the officials because I thought it was an egregiously poorly officiated weekend by the NFL. The game last night was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. It was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen, and that call against Cleveland was absolutely inexcusably bad, and the official should be suspended. That's not the only reason Cleveland lost, but in this instance, I will defend Baker calling out the officials because when the officiating is that bad, somebody has to be held accountable. And the NFL should step in and suspend the official that made that call up the sideline. I'm not saying that just because I had money on Cleveland. It was bad. It was embarrassing. It probably did change the outcome. But the bigger issue is, why the hell did they run it on 3rd and 10 into the line? Their defense couldn't stop Herbert all day. That is a much broader issue than a lousy officiating call. All right. We got good stuff today. Trent Dilfer next hour, Michael Vick this hour. It was so much fun this weekend. I am somebody that I like to get outside. I like to move. I like to do my stuff like most of you, right? And when you live in Los Angeles and our weather here is like 72 degrees every day, it was perfect weather. And I felt it was funny. So I opened all the windows in the house. I'm like, I need some outdoors in the house. I can't be sitting here all day. I literally Saturday could not get off the couch. Every time I thought about getting up, I'd go down and I'd get something to eat and I'd come up and I'm like, it'd be another amazing play. It was all 9 a.m. to 9:42 p.m. until Fury knocked out Wilder. It was a remarkable day of television. And I was on my butt to see all of it. It was great for all of us. Let me tell you about Faherty, a clothing brand that my wife Ann and I absolutely love and wear constantly. Faherty was founded